So, I did some research into art therapy. Now, art therapy is used quite a lot with mental disorders, and it's used because it brings out emotions. It brings out what people might be feeling or what they're hiding through artwork. So it's a good way to justify the emotions that you're feeling, what ways it can be seen, what expressions can be seen within different types of lines and different expressions, and again, pen pressure, everything like that. It's bringing it out and it's looking at it and it's analysing it without having to physically know what is wrong. It's looking at it before knowing if there is something wrong. So I do quite like the idea of art therapy, especially linked in with the research that I've done into mental health and mental illness campaigns in itself, because art therapy is a lot of the time it's used within treatment. It's used to help people if they're suffering. So I did have a look into art therapy and the different types. These are some examples, and I did really take a liking to these ones here. So they use a technique and it's inside and outside emotions. So they use the half and half face and get people to draw how they're feeling on the outside and how they're feeling on the inside. I recreated some of these, or I did one and then I went around and asked a couple more people to do some as well. And I really like the effect of these. I feel like I can use the idea further on in my project, as it's a good way to link the emotions and how you're feeling and the different marks and the different ways you're gesturing those marks to a specific figure or a face or a body or whatever. So I do really like this idea. So these were just some of the nice ones, or some of the good ones which I picked out, and I really like the effect of how people see themselves or how people perceive themselves, or what ways in which people are like road mapped right the way through. So they were just some of the favourite ones of them. I feel like that's a good way to judge someone, and it's not even based on the drawing ability, it's based on the marks and the expression and the lines and the pressure and everything like that, to bring out the emotions of how someone might be feeling on the inside and even on the outside. But it's hidden, it's within the subconscious, so it's a way of bringing out the subconscious and viewing it without having to bring it out in an emotional way. So yeah, I did some of these as well. So this is what's in your heart, and it's just designing a little heart and then what emotions you're feeling that day. So I went round again and did some secondary research just to see the different emotions people were feeling during that day. So there was happy, stressed, loved, sad. There was some happy, worried, loved, tired, stressed, confused, downhill, emotional. So there's lots of different emotions, and then again there's the ways people are perceiving them. So I just went round and asked people to draw what was in their heart using like 4 different colours. So confused, a spiral, it's kind of like a downward spiral. The spikes for stressed. The emotional's just like a block colour. It's as if it's saying, I am feeling emotions in this colour. So that colour could perceive something, the colour could mean a specific emotion, and they're feeling that emotion. So yeah. Okay, So I next went on to doing some research on Federico Babina. So he's an architect and he's based in Barcelona. He illustrates houses, and he's illustrated houses based around different emotions and different mental health disorders, and how he associates each mental health disorder with the structure of a house. So here is just a little quote. It says, "Who plans spaces, plans architecture, behaviour, emotions and experiences." So I do quite like that, as it links the houses and the buildings within the architecture, the attitude, the emotions of the architecture within that. So it's all linked in, it's all working together, and it's based on specifically picking out the details of each mental health issue, so depression, schizophrenia, anxiety. With the depression one here, you can see the drips dripping down from the ceiling. It's almost as if the room's collapsing. It's as if they're drowned in and the room's just melting away and they can't stop it and they don't know what to do and it's just breaking. With the schizophrenia, it's as if it's been sliced up and it's just slowly crumbling, which could then go on to represent some different forms of schizophrenia and what people have perceived it as. But yeah, so I did quite like these ones, and I feel like I can link and look at the way he's represented them for when I'm going through. So after this, I went on and researched into specifically different mental conditions and mental health illnesses and everything like that. So to start with, I looked at anger. Anger's more of an emotion which links towards different mental health illnesses. So it can be based around, it can be based in, and many mental health issues can also have anger within. So it's more of an emotion. But it was just little like quotes and little how people have related to it, what emotions they must be feeling. So we've got like the feeling attacked, deceived, frustrated, like a ball of fire, which could link to obviously the reds and the oranges, fire, burning people around me, more of an emotion than a mental illness, shouting, swearing, verbally insulting people. So yeah, with these ones I just wanted to see the main key facts and pick those out and see what I could relate them to with these. So I did move on to what is OCD. So OCD is a mental health illness rather than emotion compared to the anger. With OCD, it's generally unwelcome thoughts, images, worries, mental discomfort. It's about having no control over negative thoughts. Anxiety caused by obsession could be linked to anxiety or depression, worrying about harming people, nausea, tension, muscle pain, panic attacks, frustration, difficulty sleeping. So yeah, I was just picking out the points which I found interesting and how they could be related within the work. Next I went on to anxiety. I found a short movie which I watched. It's called The Painter, and it was directed by he's called Damien Pollard, and he suffers from anxiety, and he finds stress relief in creating things. So he's created this documentary, and it's based around someone that suffers with anxiety, and it was just really interesting to watch, as I was able to pick out key points that people have struggled with, or he struggled with, and he struggled with the stigma around it, the way people were treating him, the way people didn't understand what was going on. So there's just, again, I've just pointed out key quotes and key body language and different telltale signs of how people act and treat themselves when suffering with anxiety. So he was creating a painting and then things went wrong, like the person who ordered the painting didn't like it and he had to redo some samples and everything, which, yeah, so again, I've looked at anxiety from the same website as the others, and it's so with the anxiety, the key points are unease, worried, fear. Could be from attending an interview and your job change, worrying about everything. Feels as if everyone in the world is waiting for you to trip up. Links to depression could be feeling nausea, feeling tense, sense of dread, raised blood pressure, problems sleeping, misusing drugs, hard to enjoy leisure time, everything like that. It's building up, and it's just, with these, I think I said before, but I'm wanting to link them to all of the marks and different colours that I've looked at, the different textures, to work out what that emotion and what that mental health issue looks like in the form of colours, in the form of textures, in the form of everything, and working with that base to then create something else is the goal. Bipolar disorder. So with this one, again, this is a mental health disorder. It works on both the highs and lows, so it's an emotional amplifier. High moods, the funnier, smarter. Low moods take on the sadness of the whole world. Manic depression, easily distracted, happy, talking a lot. It's like 4 brains and they're all on overdrive. Whereas the depressive state, it's guilty, worthless, suicidal, self-harm. The lows can be flat and devoid of colour. So yeah. And then with depression here, it feels like I'm stuck under a huge grey-black cloud. Sadness, feel myself shutting down. Empty, numb, isolated, a sense of unreality. Hopelessness, suicidal. It felt like I was really tired all the time. With depression comes quite a lot with all of the, well, not all, but quite a lot of the other mental health issues that I've looked at. So you could have bipolar disorder, and then obviously you've got the depressive states, and then with the anger, generally afterwards everyone's it was saying that depressive states can either come from the anger or the anger is formed during a depressive state. So it's a really nice one if I was to look at an all-round topic, because depression covers a lot, and depression is one of the leading causes of suicide, even if that is with another mental disorder. So I do quite like the idea of the depression, just as it's quite open and there's a lot surrounding it. So yeah. On to schizophrenia. So again, another mental health issue. This one's based around hearing voices. So schizophrenia, can't tell what's real and what isn't. Hearing voices, a really compelling and powerful voice started to try and control me. Deterioration of physical health, depressive state. So again, it's based around the depression, like a depressive state is another link to it. But with schizophrenia, I found this artist, he's called Lewis Wayne, and he suffered from schizophrenia, and as the stages got worse, he just kept drawing cats. So to start with, the cats are quite normal, they're quite nice, and then further down the line, they just get weirder and weirder, and then you can barely tell what it started as. So it's just the deterioration of the brain, and with schizophrenia, it is more of a deteriorating of the brain in comparison to the other mental health issues. So with this one, with the cats, and inspired by Lewis Wayne's cats, I had came up with an idea of the path of the emotions and the marks that might have been made if it was based on different mental health issues. So I've kind of based it around depression, anxiety, anger, OCD, and I've just started at one end, like, of the scale, and then just worked my way down slowly, changing the emotion as it go down, and then got to the other end, which is like down here. And that was just to see the effects. So again, I went round and asked people to fill them in using secondary research. And again, this is making more marks and gathering more evidence. But I really like the effect that these give. It's as if it's a story rather than just a jumble of marks. I feel like you can actually see a story and how people are kind of working the way through into the despair and the depressed and the empty. And the difference, how these ones are more like spirally and big and large, and then circular, and then it just drops down and it's more empty and embarrassed. And then again, this one was for more anger and anxiety. So again, the more swirly and everything like that, and then it just gets a darker pen pressure to obviously replicate the anger and the aggressiveness. But the jump from hesitant and hateful there is quite strong. So maybe there's an extra section, or that is how quickly someone snaps when they're angry, when their anger can't be controlled anymore. And then the anxious, it became amazed, startled, shocked, worried, anxious, alienated because of the anxiousness, and then becoming terrified by what their brain is thinking up, of what ways they've scared themselves or even terrified themselves. So yeah, that's the end of this section. Okay.